About 6 months ago, my wife and I were really trying to train our kids to start saving their money. We had a plan for them that in 6 months we were going to come down to Disney World, where we actually are at today. We were going to come meet Chewbacca and Darth Vader and Yoda. Okay, that's who I wanted to meet. Mickey Mouse and Minnie and all the princesses. We had a plan for them, and we wanted to be able to teach them how to save their money, to be able to create some space, because whatever money they saved, we were actually going to double. They had opportunity throughout the whole summer to earn money and to please save it. Don't spend it on things that you won't remember. And some of them spent some of it, and some of them saved it. And we tried. We said, hey, trust us, please trust us, pray about it. Spend a day, spend a week before you spend it. And still some of them spent it and some of them didn't. And so here at Disney, some of our kids had a little bit more than the other ones to be able to spend. They're all having a blast. But we had a plan. Hi, my name is Matthew Carpenter. My family and I, we go to the New Life campus in Conway. Today I've been asked to talk about margin in our finances and in our resources. You see, when it comes to margin is that space between where's that hard line and how much extra do I have. Margin often looks like, in the world of finances, like an emergency savings account, or how much money do I have in the bank to help me through some tough times, or what do I have in my resources to be able to give when it's time to give above and beyond. Margin is seen all throughout Scripture, and there are tons of different ideas about what margin looks like. And what does God say about margin? What does margin look like in the story of Scripture? Because here's the truth of the matter. You've got stories like Joseph, who found himself in prison for many, many years, and he was given the opportunity with Pharaoh to interpret a dream. And because of that, he was able to steward the whole nation to become a central hub to be able to save in a margin of 7 years. They saved 20% of their grain, a fifth of everything that came in, to be able to survive 7 years of drought that had been unheard of, and they became this central influence. Joseph, because of his discipline with his margin, was given favor. He was given influence. What an amazing moment that he had to be able to save like that. But what about our widow with Elijah, who, when he went to this widow, said, hey, will you create for me a cake? I'm hungry. And she said, hey, if I do this, I'm out of oil and flour to be able to make for my son, and I was going to make this, I was going to make this our last bread, and we were going to die. And Elijah said, hey, trust me. Will you trust me? Go make it. And she made it, and amazingly, through a miracle, her oil and flour never ran out during that season of her life. She had no margin. Her margin wasn't 7 years of grain built up. It was the last of her oil. Or what about our rich young ruler that Jesus came? When Jesus was there, the rich young ruler came, and Jesus knew his heart, and the young ruler was asking, hey, I've kept all these commandments. And Jesus said, that's awesome. Give away all your possessions and follow me. He had an incredible amount of margin. Jesus said, give it all away. So who was right? Whose story is the way that we should follow? The rich young ruler, where we give it all away? Or the widow who has nothing left? Or Joseph, who has 7 years built up? What does it look like to steward our resources and our finances in the way that God calls us? Really what margin boils down to is being able to have a faithful relationship with God, where you're listening to God about the seasons of life that you're in. And in some seasons of our life, our season looks like, hey, I've got something in store for you. I need you to save up. Will you trust me? I need you to hold on to this promise. Hey, I need to teach you about the character of being able to say no for a while. I need to teach you the character about giving a bunch. I can't imagine, as a financial advisor, I can't imagine if I helped somebody who's 65 be able to save up for years and years and years. And what if it looked like, and God said to this person, hey, I want you to give it all away. Holy moly. Or what would it be like to have very little to no margin, and God asked us for the last piece of it, so much that it was even felt like we were going to physically die? or to save up for a long period of time, 7 years, to be able to survive a drought. I don't know what season you're in, but throughout Scripture, there's different parts that show us how to do that. You know, in Proverbs, it says, "He who gathers," this is Proverbs 10:5. "He who gathers in the summer is a wise son, and he who sleeps in harvest is a son who causes shame." You see, when it's time to create that margin, God calls us to do that, and if we're faithful, it may be saving it for something for our family, for a whole nation, for a profit. I don't know what season of life you're in, but spend some time today with the Lord. Ask Him specifically for some time to be able to, for Him to be able to lead you in what season you're in, and to be faithful with that. Be accountable with that. Share that with somebody and say, "Hey, this is a season I think I'm in. I want to create this margin. I may not even know what this margin is, but I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. Do I need to save for emergency fund? Do I need to give some away? Is my margin too much? Do I need to give some of my margin away because maybe money or resources has become an idol for me?" So, COVID was a hard time. As a financial advisor, I helped a lot of people make a lot of hard decisions, and I saw people racked with money in all sorts of different ways, everything from giving it all away to hoarding it all, not wanting to give it. One of my favorites was I was sending out some encouragement to my clients, and one of my clients sent me back an email I wanted to read, and this is what it said. This is what he said. After I sent out some encouragement, I sent him an illustration. He said, "Hey, well spoken. You understand the power of an illustration. A good illustration is like a window to a dark room. It lets light in and makes things more clearly seen. We trust you, brother. If the economy collapses and we lose everything, I would still rather have you managing my money than anyone else. If the economy collapses and we lose everything, just bring your family and come on over, and we'll eat the last of our groceries together, and then we'll figure out what to do next." This guy was a faithful believer, and he recognized that the margin that he had was not just for himself, but for being able to share with other people when it was time. There may be seasons where we need to create space and margin for our family and our resources to help us out, and this sometimes it's for other people. So I hope this blesses you today. We're going to finish out our time here at Disney, helping our kids keep working through all this fun stuff. I got to meet Chewbacca, which was one of my favorites, and Mickey Mouse, one of my childhood favorites. And today I hope that you get to spend some time with the Lord, asking Him what season of life that you're in. Ask Him to lead you to some Scripture that helps you walk through the season of life that you're in. He is faithful, He's just, He's good, and He's ready to lead you in this season to create the right margin for where you and your family are at right now. Have a blessed day.